I've had quite the trend of lantern content on this channel lately, so who better than someone like Sinestro to continue these unpopular opinions and hot take videos. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone once again for commenting on these community posts. And it's getting hard to choose which ones to actually take and put in the videos. So thank you to all of you for taking even the most small amount of time of your day to put a comment here. And just know, even if your comment is not in the video, I do still read every single one of them. A lot of the comments in this community post talk about the way Sinestro's utilized, whether or not if he's not utilized enough or is utilized far too much. And even when he's used, is it a good, interesting, or poor way they're using the character? So with that being said, let's get into some of your comments and discuss. The first comment I want to start with here is from Nick Longo, who says, I wish he didn't find the Sinestro Corps and instead joined a Yellow Lantern Corps that pre-existed him. I think it's odd that the Guardians have had the Green Lantern Corps presumably for several millennia, but Parallax never thought to find a corps of his own. This is a very interesting comment, and when you think about the Lantern Corps, I do like to relate them to Jedis and Siths. I do think, in the first place, the Lantern universe is very similar, or at least the closest to being similar to a Star Wars product of DC. When I think of the Green Lanterns, I think of them as the Jedi. The wielders of Green Lantern rings are these just and righteous people who have a universal power to shape the galaxy around them, and they all fight for one truth. And of course, there's many evil lantern corps. I think you could justify red or yellow being seen as the Sith role, but let's just say yellow are the Sith. I've always had this idea that maybe the reason this is the case is because yellow has a rule of two order, the way the Sith are supposed to have, so maybe there should only be two yellow rings at one time. And when you look at it from the viewpoint of Sinestro, he's very authoritative, and the chokehold he has put on his own homeworld to government, it's all about control in the ways he sees it. And maybe when you become a yellow ring, you are so hopped up with this idea of tyranny. Too much tyranny in one room really can't work. Imagine if you put 10 of the greatest leaders of mankind in one room and you told them you have to come out of this room with a decision on who will be the one true leader. It would be chaos. They would not get along with one another. Every single one of them would be power hungry for the chance to grab that leadership role. And maybe what you could do in this situation is, years past, hundreds or thousands of years ago, the Yellow Lantern Corps did have a multitude of members, but just like the Sith, their hunger for power and domination always crumbles, leaving only one member left or no members at all. CAC. I feel like Sinestro should win more, seeing how yellow counters green and the fact they basically do the same thing, just the Yellow Lantern Corps have a bit more power. Also, I think they should not make him Green Lantern's first or second villain. Instead, it should be like his fifth, so then the impact will be much greater when we find out his friend has become our archenemy. I do find not even just Yellow Lanterns, lanterns in general, DC really nerfs their powers and abilities. The DC power scaling, however they scale their powers, would be the first people to tell you that, oh, a Green Lantern could take down Superman. But sometimes when they write them and draw what they do within comic book panels, it's like, this guy's a chump. There's no way he'd be able to stand up against any force within the DC universe. But then there are times where they do things that are like, whoa, I don't even know if Superman could do it. It has been all over the place in history. But you know what? The way I see it, it's comic books being comic books. They always do stuff like this. However, what you say about Sinestro becoming a villain is very interesting because it's something I've always thought myself. I feel like Sinestro's turn should take a long time. I'm sorry, I gotta use it here, another Star Wars connection. Not necessarily the fact that Sinestro should be the same exact persona as Anakin Skywalker, but he should have those same doubts as Anakin Skywalker. As you watch someone like Sinestro, who has been a dedicated Green Lantern for years, and you can slowly start to see his descent to a different emotion. Even not having a yellow ring yet, or even knowing that a yellow ring exists at a particular time. You have to wait like a trilogy of films before you make them bad. You would have to wait maybe 4 seasons within a TV show. Within comic books, you would wait quite a few issues. I'm talking 40, 50 issues until you make him bad. When he turns evil, it's not Hal Jordan who actually has to face him for the first time. It's Jon Stewart who has to face him for the first time, who then has to tell Hal Jordan, you saw Sinestro a couple days ago. You're never going to see him that way again. The next time you see him, he will be yellow. He will be bad. A very Obi-Wan Anakin situation. When Obi-Wan last saw Anakin, he was a Jedi Knight. Not even a week later, the next time he sees him, this guy is a dark Jedi on the brink of becoming a Sith Lord. And you have to grow that relationship between Hal and Sinestro. I don't even want to say they would be a father-son relationship. They would be brothers. And to see what that would do to Hal, how it would emotionally break him, that would be a very fantastic story. User UT8. He is used so much that people have a hard time naming another Green Lantern villain. And not even just that, I'm gonna elevate it. He's used so much within comic books at the very least. People have a hard time naming other Yellow Lanterns. And whereas you could look at all the cores and say, oh, there's this character, and this character, and a multitude of other characters that all belong to specific colors. There's like 2 other Yellow Lanterns off the top of my head that I could think of right now, other than Sinestro. And I tend to find a lot of yellow wielding characters don't last as a yellow member long. It's only for a small stint, and then they move on to being the character they always were beforehand. Codex says Sinestro's problem is that his most popular story is him becoming a Yellow Lantern and betraying the Guardians. Other than that, he's not that used and is often one note. Yes, I think that is a big problem with the storytelling of Sinestro. A big piece of the Sinestro character is whenever he does attack the Green Lanterns, particularly Hal Jordan, it always becomes a, hey, look at me, I betrayed you guys. Do you feel sad or hurt by that still? Because like, I'm loving it over in yellow. We got so much fear. Do you miss me? No, dude. I personally cannot remember a fantastic Sinestro storyline where it was more than about some sort of vengeance or betrayal on the Guardians, in which Hal Jordan has had to step in and handle the situation. He has a lot of potential, and there should be more to what he does and what he can do, and they just never really do it. 696190. As someone only tangentially aware of the Lantern's lore, Sinestro works better when he is, or serves, as a commentary of figures of authority and how tyrants, autocrats, and megalomaniacs resort to force to challenge defiance. He should serve as the Count Dooku or Saruman of the DCU, or as a space equivalent of Ra's al Ghul, an aristocratic, gallant figure whose deference to manners and proper conduct bellies or hides an indistinguishable desire for control and dominance. Grammatically well put, and your point is absolutely received. And like I said, very Star Wars related, because I feel like that's where the Lanterns can really resort to. And I agree, not only am I now picturing Sinestro as Christopher Lee, him especially being this Count Dooku persona is perfectly fit. Dooku, yes, joined the dark side, but for his own personalized reasons. It's not necessarily to be evil, it's to rule in the ways that he sees fit. And we don't need to look at fear as a weapon of an evildoer. That's not how we have to look at it. What I think Sinestro could do is simply say, with my mindset, with how I see things politically, the way the galaxy is going, super beings popping up on all corners of the universe, universe, fear allows me to develop and utilize my particular skill set and my ideals in a way that willpower would have never done for me. I actually feel much more comfortable and like I am doing the right thing as a Yellow Lantern compared to when I was a Green Lantern. Cecagna. Sinestro is a tragic character. He may be a villain, but he's not evil. He's a true friend to Hal and fundamentally a good guy, but is such a narcissist that he fails to see his own flaws as easily as he saw those of the Green Lantern Corps. Precisely, and he often carries himself as the type of man as, I'm always right, never wrong. I can't be proven wrong at the very least, and if you try, I just won't listen to you. Since we've already connected Star Wars to this quite a lot, that is what the Sith tend to be. They're very narcissistic, they're very arrogant, they won't listen to reason. When you become a Sith, when you gain this much power, you don't think you can be stopped. What anyone tries to tell you, your wrongdoings, well, they're absent. It means nothing to you because you don't think it's that bad. The flaws Sinestro saw within the Green Lanterns and the Guardians is so strong. Now that he has followed the same path and have done wrongdoings of his own and is almost in this hypocritical situation where the flaws he saw of the Lanterns are now the flaws he is somewhat committing. He was so focused on being right of his assumptions of them that he cannot see it within himself. TV. I'm surprised he hasn't been at least a part-time villain for Batman once in a while. I get he's way more powerful than most Batman villains, but I think the man who conquered his fear should go up against fear incarnate that's not just Scarecrow. Interesting idea. Now, I think the only problem here is I'm not saying Batman is stronger than Sinestro and could necessarily beat him in a one-on-one fight, but I think what happens is Batman has spent enough time with someone like Green Lantern, he would have an adequate amount of intelligent ways that would help him get around Sinestro and maybe kind of immobilize him. Also, I think the biggest thing would actually be Sinestro wouldn't want to fight Batman. I think he would simply want Batman to be a member of his Corps in the first place. But hey, I'd be all for it, seeing Sinestro become a part-time villain to Batman. I'm in. GRA 9. It's not really a hot take, but I think he should be a big event villain more often. I would be okay with that. What an interesting story could be is Sinestro actually going up against every single sector that the Guardians have, and what he does is he slowly takes out these sectors one by one and places a yellow member to act as a guard dog over those sectors instead of the safety of a Green Lantern and their willpower defending them. You now have this authoritative or totalitarian authority figure monitoring that sector. The Green Lantern Corps and maybe even the Justice League would have to get involved to try and take those sectors back. It's almost like a galactic conquest. Realazreal says Sinestro was underutilized in the Injustice universe. 100% agree with that. I really like the Injustice universe, and I'm still holding on to some hope that we're gonna get an Injustice 3 one day. However, in the first game, it only feels like Sinestro was actually there to say, hey, yo, guess what? Remember that guy Hal Jordan who was like this devout Green Lantern? Yeah, not anymore. I brought him over to fear. Other than that, he was pretty much useless in that entire story. There's so many great moments in those games that his moments I barely even remember. We've been talking him up big about being this powerhouse, being someone who wants to rule over everyone and everything. Yet he bends the knee to Superman when Superman takes on that role. I don't know, it seems a little strange to me. Alright guys, now it's time for my unpopular opinion. Something I always thought would be very cool for the character is his change of mentality. It's even come to the point that wearing the yellow ring no longer feeds into his desire of fear. Over time, his ideals, everything he's wished to accomplish, have never come to pass. And when they did, it didn't last long. As Sinestro's gotten older, he's realized that the yellow ring, whereas it might have its uses in certain situations, it never actually benefited him in the way he needed it to. And what I would do, and maybe even a story I think you could place this version of Sinestro would be really well suited for something like the Kingdom Come world. He's actually found a way to temporarily change the color of the ring at will. Now, it doesn't last forever, and it takes a lot of concentration and control. Essentially, he's almost become the discount White Lantern. He will always be bound to a yellow ring. That's like maybe almost his curse, but he has found maybe a power within himself. Only a 1 in a billion person around the universe can utilize this type of power. Maybe he just has the mentality for it. I actually like that idea so much, I am trademarking it right now. I don't think trademarking works that way, but on the very slight chance it does, I think I'm in good hands. But there it is, everyone. Unpopular opinions and hot takes on the character of Sinestro. So as per usual, everyone, if you didn't get your chance to voice your unpopular opinion on the community post, do so now in the comments below. I do have the next couple of characters lined up, but feel free to post some other suggestions in the comments below, and I will add them to the ongoing list. That is all I have for you on this one. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.